In this class, we will study what is a Python function. Like every programming language, function is a group of related statements that performs a particular task. It is only executed when it is called, and there are parameters used to pass data into a function, and also it can return data as a result. And here is the syntax of function. You can define functions to provide a particular functionality. In the syntax, we can start the function with a keyword def, then the function name should be specified. Inside the brackets, parameters can be used. If there is no parameters, we have to make it empty. After the brackets of parameters or the parentheses, a colon is used to mark the end of the function header. So keyword, then function name, then parameters, then colon. That is the syntax of function. And after that line, we can write the set of statements that are used in function. We cannot make it empty. If it is empty, we have to write PASS statement. Otherwise, it will show an error message. So, if the function is empty, we have to give PASS. And there is also a statement return, that is also optional. An optional return statement is used to return a value from the function. So in this way we can write the function in Python. Here is an example. We defined a function hello, HELLO, and inside the function only one statement, that is a print statement, good morning, and we called that function using the function name HELLO. So there is only one line, hello, and in that line the function is called and the statement is printed, good morning. Now we will see how to pass arguments in Python. All the parameters or arguments in the Python language are passed by reference. That means even if you change a parameter refers to within a function, that change also reflects back in the calling function. This is a simple example. We have a function name hello, and there is a parameter is used mest, and that parameter is reference. It is printed, and in the program the function is called two times. The first time it is good morning, so that is printed. The second time it is good evening, and that is also printed. This is a simple example. using Python functions. Both terms are used for the same thing, parameters and arguments. So parameters and arguments are can be used for the same thing in Python. Got information that are passed into a function is called a parameter. Here there is no difference actually. A parameter is the variable listed inside the parentheses in the function definition, and argument refers to the value that is sent to the function when it is called. So parameter and argument means variable and the value. We can call many arguments or single argument in Python. If we give two arguments, we have to supply two arguments. If we give three arguments, we have to supply three arguments. Otherwise, it will show an error message. So that should be taken care. Here two arguments used, MESG1 and MESG2. So when we supply values inside the function, we have to supply two values. In the first we have given two values, good and morning. In the second line also we have given two values, good and evening. So if we supply only one argument, it will show an error. Now we can use return statement to return a particular value to the program. So in this example, there is a function ABSO which is used to find the absolute value of a number, and there is a parameter NUM, and after that the logic of the parameter function is used. There are only 4 lines, and the number is checked. If it is greater than 0, then the number is returned. Otherwise, the negative of that number is returned. That means if it is a negative value, then negative of negative, that will return as the result. So in both cases, the absolute value is returned as the result. In the program, first line we used a positive number, and the positive number is printed. In the second line, a negative number is given as the input. So negative of negative value, negative 4 of negative value 4 is returned as the result. So in this way we can use a return statement inside the function. This is the example of using a pass statement inside a function. We cannot make it empty, that's why we given as pass statement. This time the output is printed correctly. The message is good, no error. So the function is empty, we have to give pass statement. This time we have given the pass statement, so there is an error message. You can see a error message in the end of the program. Indentation error, expected an indented block. So we have to give a pass statement if it is empty. Now we will see another option of giving arguments in Python that is different from other languages. You can give star before the arguments. So if we don't know how many arguments that will be passed into the function, we can simply add a star before the parameter in the function definition. So that function can receive any number of arguments and can access that items depends upon the number of arguments. So in this example we have given numbers star no. In the definition there is no number is given, instead star no is given. So in the program, the first line we have given only one parameter argument. In the second line, 3 arguments given, 1, 4 and 6, but both time it is printed correctly. So this is a new facility in Python. You can use star before the arguments to give the any number of values or parameters in the function definition. In Python we can also send arguments with the key is equal to value syntax, and when we use key is equal to value syntax we can give in any order. That means the way the order of the arguments does not matter. We can give our own order. In this example, a function numbers is defined and 2 parameters are used, no1 and no2, and both are printed in the function. In the program there is only one line and the function is called using the arguments 8 and 12 to both no1 and no2. So key is equal to value syntax is used here, and both the value 8 and 12 is passed to the program. Now we changed the order. no2 is given first, no1 is given second. The value is 45 and 90, and when it is printed you can see 90 is printed first and then 45 is printed. So the order we can give to the function can be anything. In this way key is equal to value is used in Python. We can also use arbitrary keywords star star. This is the case when we do not know how many keyword arguments that will be passed to a particular function. This thing is used to asterisks star star before the parameter name in the function definition. So the function can receive a dictionary of arguments. That means we can access the items of the dictionary. So if the number of arguments is unknown, this star star is can be given. In this example we have a function nos, and a star star is used before the argument digit, parameter digit, and in the program we have given two values, n1 is equal to 100 and n2 is equal to 65, and we can access any items. So second items is accessed from the dictionary. So digit of no2, that means 65, that 65 is printed as the result. In this example, a default parameter value is used. That means you can set a default parameter value in a function, and when we call the function without argument, it uses the default value. So you can see in the example we have given the value of the parameter as Kerala. Parameter is state, and that is the default value, and the normal print statement is I am from, and it will give the value of the state. And in the program, the first time Andhra is called, it is a value. Andhra is the value given when it is first called. So I am from Andhra is printed, then I am from Punjab is printed. At that time we didn't supply a value, so the default parameter value is used. At that time the Kerala is printed, and again in the next line we have supplied a parameter, so at that time the Bihar is printed. So it is very useful when we set a parameter valued by default, we can use it in the program. We can also send any data types of argument to a functions. That means we can pass a string, we can pass a dictionary or list number to a function, and it will be treated as the same data type inside the function. That means if you send a list as an argument, it will be a list when it reaches the function. And if we pass a dictionary, and that will be a dictionary inside the function. And here is the example of passing a list. Here is a definition, my function, and NOS is a parameter list. And we have three items, 1, 2, 3, and in the program we called my function and passed the list, and inside the function there is a loop is used for x in NOS, and the first item is 1 is printed, then the second item 2 is printed, third item 3 is printed. So this is a very useful option in Python, where we can pass a data type, string or number, list or dictionary, as an argument to a function. That means function can receive any type of data type, any number of items in one stretch itself. We can do recursion in Python using the function. Recursion means a function call itself is called a recursion. It is very efficient if we can write it properly. It is one of the good mathematical approach to programming. So when we use recursion in the function, it will be very useful for some to apply or implement some difficult or complex problem. This is a very simple example where we use, you can see a recursion function or function name my recursion, and a parameter k is defined, and in the first line if k is greater than 0, then result equal to k plus my recursion. So the function is called again, and that is called a recursion, and we print the result. Then if it is 0, result equal to 0, and return the result stop. So that is the function body, and in the program we called with the value 4. That means 4 times the value will be printed. So when we give 4, that 4 will be passed as the value to the my recursion. So k is equal to 4, it is greater than 4, and the result is equal to k plus my recursion k minus 1. K minus 1 means 3. So that function is called again. If k greater than 0, result equal to k plus my recursion again. So for 3 minus 1, 2, then that 2 will be called. So first 4, then 3, then 2, then 1 will be called. And it is then it will become 0. So at that time result is equal to 0. Then the recursion works, because from 1 the 0 is called. So 0 plus 1, result equal to 0 plus 1. Then 1 will be printed, and that result will be passed to the calling function 2. So now the value is 1, 2 plus 1, that 3 will be printed. So now that the value is 3, and k is equal to 1, 2, 3. So 3 plus 3, 6 will be printed. Now the value of first calling function 4 is reached, and now the value is 6 already. So 4 plus 6, 10 will be printed. So in this way we can use recursion or very complex logic inside a function using function, and that will be very useful in Python program, because we know very complicated logic can be implemented using a simple recursion statement. So one line will be executed many times, but complex logic can implement it in very few lines. Now we will see how to use a global variable and local variable in Python. We know that all variables in a program may not be accessible to all the parts of the program, and this is depends upon where we declared a variable. So when we use a function, we can still use variables as global. So in a program, the scope of a variable determines the portion of the program where you can use or access a particular identifier. So in Python also the same thing. There are global variables and local variables. Variables that are defined inside a function body will be having only a local scope, otherwise it is a global scope. That means when we define outside, that will be having a global scope. Now we can use this in a program. In this example, total is a global variable, that is in the first line, it is a global variable. Then we defined a function sum, and inside the sum there are two variables or parameters are used, arg1 and arg2. In the fifth line, total is equal to arg1 plus arg2. That means it is a local variable. Here it is a local variable. So at that time total is a local variable, otherwise it is a global variable. That means inside the function it is a local variable, outside it is a global variable. Then we print it, then we return the total. In the program, in the 11th line, the function is used and two values, arguments is passed to the function 10 and 20. After that it is printed, the global value is printed. So when we pass in the 11th line, two values are passed to the function, arg1 is equal to 10, arg2 is equal to 20, then arg1 plus arg2, 10 plus 20, total is equal to 30 at that time. So local variable is equal to 30 at that time, and that 30 is printed at that time. So we print the line local total is equal to 30. Then the 12th line again printed global total is equal to total. So at that time the global variable total is equal to 0 is printed. So in this way we can define the scope of a variable in both ways, global and local. So these are the main concepts in Python function. Using Python function we can implement any type of logic inside a Python program.